Crypto and Inequality is the title of the show and video. So let's kind of just quickly give an overview of what's happening here in America for those people who are watching this outside of America. So over here in America, basically a person called George Floyd has been the catalyst to a huge uproar across all of America. So this happened in Minnesota and Minneapolis. So basically this person was arrested by, I believe, 4 officers, and they ended up killing him. And for those who've been following the entire Black Lives Matter and everything that happens here in America, I think really the social unrest of people being quarantined at home, being unemployed, and then also having unemployment checks coming in has really created this never before seen tension and almost a free pass to kind of go to the edge, right? So I mean, I myself, as a Black man in America, I'm definitely for peaceful protests. I would say peaceful protests. However, I'm definitely not for riots, right? Because now we're basically in anarchy almost, and I think it's pretty crazy. Definitely not for anybody killing anybody. I've seen the crazy videos. I think it was in Dallas where a person who had a shop was basically almost killed by a gang of mobs. Now, obviously, people are also instigating things. So, I mean, it's pretty almost divisive in a way, right? I myself, I'm definitely for reform in terms of the system. I personally do feel that the system is broken. As somebody who's been in America, I would say for more than 20 years, I definitely know the system is broken. But like in all systems, there isn't really a perfect system. Now, I still believe, as somebody who's been to over 40 countries in the world, I still strongly believe America is the best country in the world. Now, obviously, that's my subjective view. But as someone who's traveled around the world, every time I come back to America, I'm like, man, I love America, right? But just like with every family you love, you also realize that there are growing pains. And I think there's definitely an uproar, especially people who feel disenfranchised, right? Obviously, I'm kind of more well off than the average person. Obviously, I made money in crypto and everything. So in a way, I am somewhat removed from the people who are really going through issues themselves. But as somebody who didn't really come from wealth and basically had to create my own wealth, I can also understand the pains. Because, I mean, for those who followed my channel prior to crypto, the channel was really built about empowering minorities in terms of making money and achieving success, right? So it was really a motivational channel about being an entrepreneur, about making money. And now that we're really in this chaotic time where people, I mean, unemployment is over 20%. People have no jobs, they're locked at home, and now there's just so much tension happening at the same time that almost it basically reached a point where enough is enough, and this was really a catalyst. I don't think this is happening because of George Floyd. I think this is happening, and this is really kind of a reason for people to really bring all the emotions they've been keeping locked up for a while, right? Let me pause there and see if you have anything to add to that, Bill.
Well, I mean, I think you got it right on there. One thing I would add is when it comes to crypto, because I've been to a couple of crypto conventions, crypto is great because if I'm into crypto and you're into crypto, we're instantly friends. Race, creed, color, country of origin, it doesn't matter. We're into crypto. Okay, now in terms of inequality, so we got a police officer who kills a guy who was already cuffed. And this type of thing in America happens before, and the police seems to forget that people carry iPhones. So it's on video and distributed. Now, what I think is happening is the police have become a symbol of the people protecting the top 1%. Okay. So, I mean, what's happening, to men who get killed and they all happen to be African-American, that's really bad in police custody, but it's morphed into something worse now. Okay. Because the police are becoming a symbol for the system and for people who have everything, like the Fed printing $2.6 trillion and levitating the stock market, and everybody else barely has enough money to eat. So this is when social disorder turns into chaos. I saw something on Twitter. Okay. A guy held up a sign outside one of the buildings, Treasury, etc. It said, "Can you print my dinner?"
Wow.
Can you print? Can you print money? Does that mean I get to eat? Okay. Okay. So the answer to that would be no. And if anyone out there is wondering, what are Americans doing? Like, there's no social distancing at a riot. What are we doing? What's boiling over is that there are people who have everything. We have governments. Governments are handling things really well, right? Wrong. Okay. Governments have been screwing this up from the beginning, from the national to the local level. Okay. And people are just like, okay, I think it's time for crypto. You cannot print my dinner. And the only way I'm going to get my dinner is to get a different currency. Right. We can't move to a new planet. So we're going to have to get a different currency, or we're going to have to be with a group of people who think the same way about economics. And that's hashtag crypto family.
Yeah. I mean, crypto family, wherever you are, stay strong. Now, one thing that does now really come to mind is we all knew we were going into a recession, and the pandemic seemed to kind of have peaked, and now we're really coming into recovery. But all of this changes everything now. I mean, like if you had a shop or a storefront, I mean, that's now being vandalized. That's not really good for the economy in terms of recovery and bouncing back. And I think this could even be a catalyst for almost everything now to go digital, because things were already heading towards there thanks to the pandemic. But now with the riots and everything, I mean, like I was watching TV today and somebody said that this was in LA on Melrose Avenue, which is a popular street in LA, that they lost about $500,000 worth of goods from looting, then the place was burned down after that. So I think entrepreneurs who have storefronts and retail places, basically mom and pop shops, and also big companies as well, will lose money. So this is definitely going to affect the entire retail industry. And then we also have all those people now, what next? And I think really the way forward is going digital. And a while back, somebody told me that they believe in terms of the future of shopping, you basically have the big chains like the Amazons of the world, and the small mom and pop shops, they'll all be retail. I mean, online. So, Bill, how does this impact the economy from an investor standpoint? Because all of us here in crypto, we saw what happened with the pandemic, where a crash in stocks and legacy markets led to a crash in Bitcoin, right? So now that we're going into Monday this week, how's the American economy going to be impacted by all these riots? Do you think there'll be a big sell-off?
Well, certainly equities have to get real. The question is, how much does that affect crypto? I don't know. Okay. One of the things I do know is that, apparently in Minneapolis, the store of choice for looting was Target, of all places, right? Mm-hmm. Soccer moms go there. But Target had to close 175 stores.
Yeah, that's okay. Big.
And I think when you start talking about the American economy, from everything from the economy to rule of law, right? If your neighborhood store's gone, you're going to have a tougher time getting food. You may have to drive farther, and hopefully the street's not blocked off, right? So people get more upset and more on edge. Okay. So and that's not to mention what happens if you need to call 911. Is anybody coming? Honestly. Right.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's probably no.
Right.
Which is sad.
So if you have the economics and the rule of law, okay, you have economics and the rule of law, they go hand in hand. Like you go to business school, you read a book. To have free market economics, you need the rule of law. And then all of a sudden, again, funny, not funny, but all of a sudden, crypto, blockchain, proof of work, proof of stake just became something orderly in a world where there is no order, right? Like everyone here in Houston is talking about locusts and floods are next, right? Everyone's already going to what's next. We have disease, riots, 3, 4, 5, etc. So when people start thinking that way, all right, that's what can have the effect. You know, if 175 Target stores are closed, that's not the end of the American economy. Okay, what could be a problem for the American economy if everybody's too scared to go to the rest of the Target stores? So that's how I would round that out.
Yeah, I mean, good points there. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, as you said, I also don't really know what's going to happen. All I know is, I mean, crypto is a good hedge in times like this, right? And now we're not here just trying to shill our bags with crypto and just being pro crypto everything, but I mean, right now there's lots of uncertainty in the economy, and crypto is meant to be a hedge against currency risk and a hedge versus political risk. And right now, I mean, in America, of all places, one of the I would say the few countries where we expected to have political risk, we now really have that, and we're going into an election year, 2020, and I think this is going to be probably one of the craziest election years ever. I mean, because at this point, whatever was working before, I think as we go towards this new election, everything goes out the window. Like everybody's policies from before goes out the window because now the climate has changed politically here in America, right? I mean, because I think just by the fact we have riots that have gone crazy across the entire country, in Seattle, in LA, in DC, New York, Miami, it's not just in one city. It's not like I mean, there are even protests in Berlin, Germany. I mean, so they've actually gone pretty global. So I think all of this really leads to a time where nobody knows what's going to happen, unfortunately. But we do know there is risk, and we think having a hedge against that risk versus, I mean, with crypto definitely does make sense. But going back to the entire point of the video, right? Crypto helps inequality. Crypto is designed to help the unbanked. It's designed to help bank the unbanked. Typically, that means in the developing world, but that can also be in developing countries like here in America or in Europe. And I think we can definitely do a lot more to bring more disenfranchised people, more minorities into crypto and blockchain, because it could be a way to really break the chains and kind of break away from a system of oppression, right? I know myself, I was working in the corporate world. I've gone through discrimination myself, and quite frankly, crypto was my saving grace. I mean, I made my millions in crypto, and I just said, okay, you know what? Thank you. I'm out of here, right? I mean, I still loved working in IBM. It was great, but I think in any large group setting, you'll have outliers. You have people who are either who have discrimination or who have just different points of view. And I think that's just natural. That's just a human element, no matter where you are. I mean, even in my own country, in Uganda, people have tribalism. People hate each other, even though they look exactly alike, because one of the person is from a different tribe. So I don't think it's really like a black or white thing. I think it's just a human thing, right? Humans always find ways to just have drama in a way. Now, I do believe there is oppression, not only in America, but just globally, in terms of people who have different backgrounds or ethnicities. And I think really the best way to fight that is to write your own ticket. And I mean, that's why I really launched this channel, was to help empower people financially. Because when you have your own FU money, you tell people F you. Because you become your own boss, right? So I think that's why crypto is really a way to break inequality everywhere, because people can become their own bank and don't really have to depend on a bank, don't have to depend on a middleman, and can also invest and make their own money and then use that to really empower themselves. All right. Anything to add to that, Bill?
Sure. So here's a choice, right? I heard something that 60 Secret Service agents and uniformed officers got hurt at the White House trying to protect the building. So here is a couple choices. You can buy some ether, or you can fight the Secret Service at the White House. You know what? I am really all for the ether choice. All right. Let's buy some ether. Let's look at some charts. And crypto is freedom, right? What does America stand for? Freedom. Okay. Why are they protesting in Berlin? Well, because there's haves and have-nots everywhere, and the have-nots are over it. Now, we, since this is on YouTube, would love to have the have-nots buy some ether rather than loot a Louis Vuitton store. Okay. So think crypto as a way to push back against the system.
Yeah. I mean, well said. Well said. All right. Let us know what you think about this entire ordeal happening right now in America. Tell us in the comments down below.